फर्स्ट पार्ट रोहित जी, सेकेंड पार्ट दिविन पढ़ेंगे. गेट रेडी, स्टार्ट. From one puzzling feature in that case that in paragraph 2 it was mentioned that offence in question has been committed on 13/11/1990, whereas the bail order of the sessions judge was dated 6/11/1990. In that case there was a clear finding that the High Court on appreciation of the evidence reached a conclusion that the copy of the bail order was produced before the appellant, who arrested the respondent in spite thereof. That finding of fact was not interfered into by the apex court. The situation for the reasons we have mentioned above is quite different in the present case. Hence the said case is clearly distinguishable from the instant case on facts. It was next argued by the learned counsel for the applicant that he had wrongly filed the application for a criminal contempt, and in fact the noticee is guilty of civil contempt, and that he has now moved an application for modifying this application from a criminal contempt to a civil contempt. We may note that there is an order of the earlier division bench dated 24/7/2007 that an argument was raised that no permission of the Advocate General had been taken in this case, and it is first to be considered whether it was a civil contempt or criminal contempt, and that hearing was to be done on that issue also. Apart from the fact that we felt that in this case the applicant was blowing hot and cold at the same time. At one stage he filed a criminal contempt application, and subsequently, seeing the difficulty that no permission of the Advocate General had been taken, he now seeks to move an application for converting it to a civil contempt. Even from a perusal of the provision of Contempt of Courts Act 1971, a civil contempt is defined under section 2 within bracket B, which means willful disobedience to any judgment, decree, direction, order, writ or other process of a court, or willful breach of an undertaking given to a court. In our view, the situation of civil contempt would arise if the noticee failed to honor the order of the magistrate issuing non-waiver warrant for the arrest of the accused, because it would amount to committing willful disobedience of that direction. On the similar facts, in the case cited by the learned counsel for the applicant in Vijay Kumar Mahante Supra, it was a matter of criminal contempt because the allegations here are that by the action of the noticee in effecting the arrest, he had tendered to interfere and obstruct with the administration of justice to lower the authority of the High Court. This matter is clearly covered under section 2 within bracket C of the Contempt of Courts Act 1971. But for the reasons mentioned above, that there is no good reason to think that the said order was communicated to the noticee, we think that no action for contempt can be taken against the noticee. In this view of the matter, there is no force in this application. It is accordingly dismissed. Stop. First part Neelam ji, second Preeti padhenge. Start. So far as the contention of the learned counsel for the appellant that the appellant's sister was to be married on the date of the incident, hence he was not likely to have been present at the time and place of the incident, it may be noted that when his statement under section 313 CRPC was recorded on 23/8/1997, on being questioned whether he wanted to give any evidence in defense, the appellant answered in the affirmative. He was further examined and the evidence of the court witness was put to him. He was asked whether he would give any evidence in defense, and he replied in the negative. Thereafter, it appears that he has filed a written statement purporting to be under section 233 within bracket 2 CRPC on 6/9/1997. So far as written statement of an accused is concerned, it can be filed by the accused when he enters in defense under section 233 within bracket 2, but the same is only to be filed with the record. Section 233 within bracket 2 reads as follows. If the accused puts in any written statement, the judge shall file it with the record. Para. However, that does not discharge an accused of giving defense in his favor if he so chooses under section 315 CRPC, where an accused can come forward and give evidence before a criminal court as a contempt witness for the defense by making a request in writing if he so chooses. In the present case, the appellant has not examined himself on oath, nor has he produced any testimony in defense to corroborate his version that his sister was to be married on the date of the incident. Mere filing of a few photographs without examining any other witnesses or even the photographer cannot corroborate the defense of the accused that his sister was married on that date or that the photographs were really of his sister and her marriage. Therefore, we think this is a mere bald defense, half-heartedly set up very blatantly by the accused, and no credence can be placed on the same. Moreover, even the alleged factum of the sister's marriage on the date of the incident would not give rise to any presumption that the appellant could not have been present at the place of the incident and provide him with an alibi. Non-production of the witness from the neighborhood shops is also not fatal, as it is well settled that witnesses are noticeably unwilling to come forward to give evidence, especially against bad characters who may prove a threat to their lives. In this contention, it has aptly been observed by the Apex Court in paras 11 and 12 in Appa